has it. DeMoss, the steal for three. Buried! Joey DeMoss. Far side, Timmons blocked again! Daly, top of the key, spinning, Daly up, and one! What a play! Position Epps to Valentine, yes sir! Mackay with another. Corrado left, block up, and one! Graphics up by one, now down by two. It's Davis again. Zion again. He cannot miss. Now it's Terza for the lead. Got it. Picked off. That's RJ Sledge. Sledge pulls up. Sledge and one. RJ Sledge, incredible.
Welcome into episode number 97 of the Valley Sports Guys podcast, live here from His Place Coffee Community and more in Monessen. I'm Jose Negron, joined by Jeremy Salou and Alex Lyons, the full team here in attendance on this Wednesday morning for another episode of the VSG podcast.
No
guys,
doors, no fridges, we're good to go.
Yep, we're all good to go, and a lot to discuss, a lot of winter sports going on, of course. We're kind of the midway point of section play and both boys and girls basketball.
Before you know it, it's playoff time.
Yep, it's going to be here before you know it. We had a couple cancellations the last couple of days. Yesterday, only 2 local games with the weather going on, but did have some local matchups that we'll kind of start out and discuss here. But last night, Belle Vernon, Elizabeth Forward, as we get started here in the VSG's podcast. Belle Vernon with a big 63-60 victory over the visiting Elizabeth Forward Warriors, and it wasn't an easy win. Wasn't pretty for the Leopards, but they got the job done against a very feisty Elizabeth Forward team.
And it was kind of one of those instances, Jose. I think both teams were waiting for it. I know I was waiting for it. I don't know about you. I was kind of waiting for who was going to be that guy to take over the game, whether it had been for EF, whether it had been for Belle Vernon, and nobody did.
No.
Nobody.
Watching the game, it looked like Belle Vernon was trying real hard to give that game away in the last minute.
And, Zion didn't shoot much in that game, at least for his. But I think a lot of that, we have to give credit. Isaiah did a great job once again defensively. He's one of the best in the Mon Valley for a reason defensively. But I don't think they created enough ball movement to get Zion open in that game for the Belle Vernon Leopards. But, also if you're Elizabeth Forward, even though he did that, you also needed some missing posters for Isaiah Turner offensively, who went scoreless in the fourth quarter, and he was kind of leading the way. So kind of a tale of two quarters offensively for Turner there, but it was a game you kind of expected, okay, who's going to take this game over? Who's going to kind of put this one to the finish line? And it really never happened, and Belle Vernon was just able to hang on, by the skin of their teeth to get a big win after what Coach Ricky Tyberski said was probably the biggest upset in Belle Vernon history, at least to his tenure at Belle Vernon goes, with that loss to AG.
Yeah, and I think we look at you mentioned, it wasn't a 20-plus point performance that we're used to from Zion, but a lot of balance on both sides, 4 double-digit scorers for both teams. Yeah. I was really impressed with the way Trevor Kovac played. I thought that when Belle Vernon was at its best, they were able to get out in transition. They were playing strong. They were playing their best defense when they were going on some of those runs. They went on a late 6-0 run that really catapulted them to this win. I know Kovac had a big bucket during that run, had a steal and a nice assist to Curdy Wade during the run as well. So I thought when Belle Vernon was at their best, they were playing their best defense. They were getting some transition points, and Coach Salvino said afterwards that's what they have to do in order to be successful.
I don't think it helped either, and I was surprised early on, but obviously we see the Belle Vernon depth become an issue again in this game, is Alonzo didn't get a play in the second quarter, and it was because of that 3 fouls in the first, but normally you get 2 fouls in the first quarter, you're going to the bench.
Right. Well,
Belle Vernon didn't have that luxury, and I think that really kind of helped stagnate Alonzo, who was off to an outstanding start in that game. 4 for 4 from the line. That's 6 points in that opening quarter. Wade was playing good defense, was playing very well, and I think he was on maybe pace to have his best game of the season until he got into that foul trouble. But I think you got to give a lot of credit to that due to Charlie Melib, who drew 3 fouls in that game. Reminded me of watching Bakari Wallace a few summers ago, just drawing charge after charge, and that's what Melib kept doing in that game, and it helped to get the Leopards into foul trouble and kind of put Alonzo Wade on the bench for well over 8 minutes. I think it was maybe the last 10 minutes of the opening half. We didn't see Alonzo Wade in that game.
Yeah, and I think that, you need to count on some other guys to step into those roles. I know, Tommy Davis fouled out in the fourth quarter, I want to say, early in the fourth quarter.
4:35, I think.
Midway through. So, that was a tough loss, too. I know Dom Jelani came in. He got a big point during that, 2 big points during that run as well. This is a game where Elizabeth Ford gave Bell Vernon all they could handle.
And EF was missing one of their main bench players, no James Guile yesterday. He'd been one of the first guys off the bench.
Right.
Obviously, I think first big man off the bench. Spence, your first guard coming in off the bench.
Yeah.
And you didn't have Guile yesterday, but Flournoy, I think, played very well in his minutes.
Yeah, he had some big buckets as well. And Elizabeth Ford, they followed the game plan, how they wanted to. I think defensively, Coach Nolan Larry was pleased with what he saw from them. When you limit Zion Moore to less than 20, that's a plus. He's going to get his points. But, when you can kind of contain what he can do, that makes it a little easier. And he credited Isaiah Turner for that. But, other guys were stepping up, and that was big for Bell Vernon. 19 for Moore, 14 for Trevor Kovac, who also, I believe, had 7 steals and 5 assists. Moore, I believe, had 5 or 6 assists as well. Curdy Wade with 12, Alonzo Wade with 10. But if you're Elizabeth Ford, you've lost 4 in a row here. One of them was it 4 in a row or 5 in a row?
4 now, I believe.
Yeah.
Because
Southmoreland lost. Then they had the loss to Uniontown, lost to Montour, and then now this loss to Bell Vernon.
And that's probably the toughest matchup. Obviously, Montour, a very good team, but when you're used to putting Turner on their best, and I said this last night on the broadcast, Turner's always going to guard your number 1 scoring option, except 90% of the time. And then when you face a Montour, you have Alma So at 6'11", and Charlie's a big, strong kid, but still, that's not a fair matchup with Alma So, who's going to go Division I. I mean, that's a kid that has looks from Duquesne, Penn State, Pitt, RMU, just name them, he has them. And that kid's an absolute force. Doesn't matter if he can get to the basket or not. He is so lengthy, so skilled. And, when you're going up against one of the top teams in another section, that's never an easy night, especially when you have a big guy like that.
Yeah, it's been a gauntlet for EF. And, I think things will kind of get a little, they just have to focus on beating the teams that they feel like they can beat. They already have a victory over Laurel Highlands.
Have to beat AG both
Albert
times
Gallatin
now.
has kind of put a wrench into things with that victory over Bell Vernon. They're kind of in there and showing that there's going to be a true battle for that 4th place spot. Jeremy, I wanted to ask you too, from just watching from the broadcast, kind of what you thought of this matchup and just how Bell Vernon matched up. Them being able to get a close victory, and how EF has kind of matched up here, even though they've lost 4 in a row.
I think the biggest thing is Bell Vernon needed to win the game at home.
Yeah.
I mean, you always want to win your home section games because later on in the season they're going to go to the small court in Elizabeth Ford.
Right.
They're not going to be able to get out and run as much. I mean, we saw how many steals Trevor Kovac had, and he was immediately off to the races. Mm-hmm. So that smaller court's going to slow Bell Vernon down. But like you said, I mean, the biggest thing that I see, just like looking at the standings alone, is Albert Gallatin definitely put themselves in the position, because if playoffs started today, Elizabeth Ford's sitting home. Yep, they're still one of the best teams, I think in the area. But the thing is now they're behind the 8 ball because Bell Vernon gave up that game on the road at Albert Gallatin. So I think Elizabeth Ford will be okay. I mean, we said it at the beginning of the year, they have to beat Southmoreland. Mm-hmm. They've already lost to them once. You got to get that when Southmoreland comes to your gym again. You need to win that game. But looking at EF now, you lost 4 straight, and your next section game is on the road at Albert Gallatin next week. So that's a must-win game, or you're just going to be too far behind the 8 ball.
And the wild thing, the way the sections kind of fallen thus far, 2 through 4 is still wide open. It doesn't matter what your record is right now. You still basically can finish up at second place right now because everyone's beating everybody. AG's beating Bell Vernon. Bell Vernon's beat Southmoreland. Southmoreland's beating EF. Besides Uniontown, who EF gave the best game to in a 13-point game at Elizabeth Forward. Right. I mean, it's been everything spread out, and it's kind of what we expected to besides Albert Gallatin. I think we expected to see Southmoreland, Bell Vernon, and EF throw basically haymakers at each other. Who's going to get 2, who's going to get 3, who's going to get 4. But Albert Gallatin, as you said, threw that wrench into things and now has made things a whole lot easier or more confusing because we kind of thought going into the season maybe the 4 playoff teams were almost a sure lock. Well, it's anything but that right now.
Right, and I think the thing for EF, like I'm looking at their schedule, I think they're scheduled next Wednesday to go to Albert Gallatin, but Tuesday they're scheduled to go to Peters Township. If I'm Nolan Larry, I'm canceling that game.
Oh, without question.
I don't want to go play a 6A team or a 5A team and then have to come back the next day and play a game it's going to be a must-win game for them regardless.
Because basically you take care of business when both AG games,
right.
You're sitting pretty good if you're Elizabeth Forward.
And if you beat AG on Wednesday, then you got Laurel Highlands on Friday again, who you've already beat. I just don't, I call Peters and be like, could we either move this to the end of the season or let's just do it at all? I mean, because I credit to Nolan Larry and Guffey and all them for, they're scheduling top-tier non-section games. Without a doubt. They've played Bethel Park. They played South Allegheny. They played Montour. Now they're going to go to Peters Township. I see right now the game against Mount Pleasant is postponed already. But, they have to have their I's dotted and T's crossed to get ready for this game next week against Albert Gallatin.
And I was going to say, too, is you look at these 4 games that they've lost. That Southmoreland game was a tie game after 3 quarters, lost by 7. Uniontown, 13-point loss, but against a team like Uniontown, they gave them a fight, especially in that second half. I believe they outscored them in the second half.
They did win the second half.
Yeah, Montour, they're one of the best teams in 4A. And then Bell Vernon, a 3-point game. So if you're Elizabeth Ford, you were in these games. You give Uniontown a big fight, who is another favorite in 4A. You have a non-section game that you can kind of learn from against Montour. So in a sense, I feel like you have to be encouraged by what you experienced, despite losing all 4 of these games during this gauntlet of games.
Well, you do, and again, they have some veterans, but they have a lot of young kids
who are just learning how to.
You have Spence, you have Basic. You have these guys that it's a learning how to win factor.
Yep.
And it's those close games like the Bell Vernon game. How many times late was that game tied, or they were within a basket
they
just couldn't get it. Let's be honest. Watching on the broadcast, and I know you said it a couple times, Alex, on the broadcast, but nobody could hit shots in that second half. Yes, EF outscored them, but thanks to that big first half, Bell Vernon, just far enough ahead that they could hold them off. But neither team was really hitting shots. I've never seen Zion Moore miss so many shots in my life.
And Coach Larry even alluded to it too. They just could not. They were uncharacteristically, inconsistent when it came to offense.
They were sloppy with the ball. Way too
just
many steals for Kovac, trying to make the fancy cross-court passes.
Yeah.
Those are just things in a game like that, a hot contested game against a rival. Those are just things you can't do.
You got to learn how to do those things. And
right.
I think, like you said, with a young team, you got to learn those things. And I was actually very interested in the Mount Pleasant game because I know on EF's schedule on big teams, it said that it was still happening. I wasn't sure if that was actually postponed or not. But I feel like that would have been a good, if they could get a victory against Mount Pleasant and there we go.
I'm having some technical difficulties.
I can't hear anything.
No,
there we go.
That's what happens when I unplug, try to fix Jeremy's. There's always one headset that rears its ugly head with the sound.
Yeah, it's mine today. I can't hear myself again. Oh, wait.
Oh, I'm out too.
Boy.
I think we're good now. I'm
good.
good.
I'm not good.
Jose's good. Jeremy's not good. Hey.
Not good.
I'm just going to continue with my point.
Just continue.
Keep going, Jose.
I can't hear out on my right now. Okay, I'm good now. But yeah, if they could play that Mount Pleasant game and get a victory, I can't hear again.
That's what. Here, let's try this, Jose.
Technical. Wait. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
Now I'm bad.
Are you good, Jose?
I'm good.
Okay.
I am not.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this. I want to move this. Jose, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, now I'm just going to mess with Jeremy's.
Okay,
You're good. Keep
cool.
going.
All right. Yeah. No. What I was gonna say is,
Not
if they
good.
could,
You continue. We'll deal with this.
if they could play that Mount Pleasant game, and maybe get a win before that Albert Gallatin game, just get a W, get some even more confidence. I think that would definitely help. But I think EF is a team that's still, they're obviously still in the hunt. They're still in a good position. They just need to. They're still a relatively young team, and I think they should take a lot of confidence from the 9-game winning streak, and take some confidence from some of the things that they've learned during this 4-game stretch. And
it's part of those
they'll be
things.
competing.
A lot you don't have the consistency you're hoping for, you're expecting, just because some of these young players, like I look at a guy like Tyler Basic. Some games he's going to go out and just shoot lights off.
I think last night 5 points. Maybe?
Yeah,
3 or 5.
I think just 3. I know he had the one triple. I don't remember if he had anything else, but that's a guy I look at the end of the year that he's getting valuable experience starting, but that consistency is eventually going to come. And remember, this is a Bell Vernon team that won 9 straight games against CF till last year's game winner by Drew Cook at the time at Bell Vernon. And the first time these two teams met last year, Bell Vernon blew them out. The Leps have now won 10 of 11 against the Warriors, but it's that consistency factor, and you do what you got to do to get yourself right. And if you're Elizabeth Fording and find a way to take one at home against Bell Vernon, you got to be feeling a lot better about yourself. And I think you're right there. If you kind of find someone to just take over that game in the fourth quarter, or just keep some consistent scoring, which they didn't have in that fourth quarter. You didn't have that one guy. You got a couple points here, a couple points there. There wasn't that one guy that said, let me take us to the end. Let me carry us to the finish here tonight.
Yeah, and I gotta say too, very impressed with Daniel Spence and what he's been able to do coming off the bench. I think he's getting more and more playing time. He started the season injured and started to make an impact off the bench for EF, earlier in the season. But 3 big 3-pointers in the first quarter last night, finished with 11. I think he's going to continue to gain a bigger role for this EF team as we move forward as well. So. Anything else on Bell Vernon and EF? I mean, good game. A great game, great crowd
awesome.
on both sides. Those are always the games that are exciting to watch between two local teams. So it was an exciting one for sure. Let's see. We only had one other game last night.
Yep, Cougars.
The Cougar
Both
battle.
Cougars.
Yep. But Yock with a victory, 56-34 over Charleroi. Tarek Crosby, game high 20 points. Austin Matthews with 17 in that victory on Cougar Mountain. Jackson Karenko, team high 17 for Charleroi, which only had 9 points in the first half. Xander Aird also with 12 points to give Yock 3 double-digit scores. But, yes, more struggles for the Charleroi Cougars. Meanwhile, the Yock Cougars, it seems like it's been Tarek Crosby, Austin Matthews really leading the way all year. Xander Aird has been, pretty consistent as a double-digit scorer as well. But Yock Cougars 4-1 to start section play here.
Yeah, and we knew coming into the season, that's what it was going to be. It was going to be Tarek Crosby and Austin Matthews, and then can they get that third player in double figures every night? Or, like you said, Xander Aird's been, 8, 9, 10, I think, 12 points last night. But, yeah, Charleroi can't score 9 points and expect to win many games in the first half, But we wouldn't know if it wasn't for Yock because Charleroi doesn't call in their stuff. So
Yeah. Hey,
there
start
it
doing
is.
that. That'd be nice.
Start doing it. It'd be nice.
The only other game last night, of course, we had a couple on the schedule, but with school cancellations and things like that, some games did get canceled. We were supposed to have potentially, I think it was kind of inevitable. We were going to have a 1,000-point scorer last night.
We were going to.
With Isaiah Petty, but there's good news.
Thank you for that. Canceling as much as it's never fun. I appreciate it just for the fact that we get to stream that one now on Friday.
Yeah, we'll have Sarah Catholic versus Jeanette on Friday night, the 19th, 7:30 p.m. tip between the Eagles and Jayhawks. Should be a very exciting game between those two teams. Always is in that section. Of course, Sarah Catholic 8-5 overall, 2-3 over in that section. Jeanette at 9-4, 4-1 in section 3-2A. So should be an interesting matchup. Isaiah Petty 5 points away from 1,000 in his career. So we'll be there for that one. And I think he should probably get it out of the way pretty quickly. I would assume.
I would hope so. I would imagine. And that's what you want. You want to be able to get out of it quickly and just get into especially with that game. That's a massive game for them.
It's a massive game.
Lost, by 3 on the road the first time?
Right, and this is, between it was a 57-54 win for Jeanette on December 15th. I believe it was the first section game for both teams. But these are two teams that are on the right track. 3 wins in a row for Jeanette after losing 2 straight. And then Sarah Catholic, after they lost 3 in a row, including their first 2 section games, they have now won 5 of their last 6 games, including 3 straight against Springdale, Riverview, and Aquinas Academy, which was almost 180 combined points.
Yeah, it was a good offensive game right there.
I think 172 combined points to be exact in that 90-82 victory. So, that should be a big section matchup. And anytime you have a local kid that's, going to score their 1,000th point, that's always a pretty special achievement too. So
I also appreciate Eric, who's in charge, Isaiah's dad, who does all the stats, at least reaching out to us, letting us know that Isaiah is getting close to that milestone.
Yeah, we always appreciate that, giving us the heads up because,
a lot of times we don't find out.
We don't really know, if someone is closing in on that. So we appreciate that. We'll have coverage of that both on MVI Live. I'll be there to cover it for the Mon Valley Independent. So excited for that matchup.
Obviously, since our last podcast, well, speaking of, milestones, Evan Berger for Thomas Jefferson on Friday, all-time leading scorer now there.
Yeah, all-time leading scorer in Thomas Jefferson history. Not much of a shock. We kind of knew it was coming.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He scored his 1,000th point as a junior and has been such a big part of that TJ team. Isn't, scoring as much as he usually would. I think he's averaging around 17 a game.
Doesn't need to, though.
Yeah, he doesn't need to when you have
such
so
a
many
good TJ
other
team this
players.
year.
Yeah, it's just this TJ team is pretty special. It's exciting to watch, just seeing so many different guys contributing. Obviously, you got a guy like Noah Prosser who's continuing to get better. We saw it during the summer as well. Nick Turkala has been huge. We've talked about that.
And I think that's
a few times.
That's a big thing you look at for TJ. Okay, yeah, they're going to lose a lot this year, and you don't want to dwell on the future right now because you got a lot left to play for this year. But there has been some big-time minutes by some young guys and important minutes by Nick Turkle, who's been starting as a sophomore. Then you also have Kane Egerton as a freshman coming off the bench. You look at these young guys getting early experience, and those are going to be the guys, those two almost, different position styles, but that's almost your next Berger-Prosser duo that's coming up here for Thomas Jefferson.
That's what I was going to say is these guys are going to benefit from playing on a team stacked with talent like this, just like Noah and Evan did when they were on, some of those playoff teams. I think Evan was a freshman when, Pugh was there and some of those football stars. And I think those guys are going to benefit from that. I think
without question.
You look at Evan and Noah. They're true basketball players, and I think in the past TJ's had a couple of those. You look at Noah Pierce and when Isaac McNeil were there. Those are 2 pure basketball players surrounded by a bunch of athletes and guys who were coming off of successful football seasons, and now you have kind of the same thing. With a guy like Kane Egerton, who had a very successful football campaign as a freshman as well. It's kind of that similar, deja vu type of thing for some of these young guys who are learning along the way while playing for a very talented team full of, experienced guys.
No, absolutely.
So, I don't know if there's anything in particular,
Girls shootout.
Let's talk about the girls shootout. I knew that I was going to want to talk about that.
I mean, you didn't get the memo to wear the shirt, Jose.
I did not get the memo to wear the shirt. I missed out on that one. But 4 big games over California High School on Saturday. Started out with that Charleroi, California matchup. Charleroi gets a big victory. Of course, they've been battling injuries, sickness. Everything that you can kind of battle early on, Charleroi has had to battle. And got a big victory, over California to start things out. And I know, Jeremy, you had coverage of that one, and big one for the Cougars.
Wasn't quite what I expected, but there's some points in that game where I got to give, obviously Charleroi, Bella Corrado did her thing. I think 27 points.
27, yep.
27 points. Ella Seipel, 13 and 13 double. Anna Kondratovic, I think, 7, which was a career high, making her second start. Doing with what they have and the lack of experience they have, I think Charleroi I didn't expect them to be 0-5 in the section, but, overall record, we figured about 500, but, I give them all the credit in the world. Their pressure and their ability and aggressiveness to take the ball to the hole, really made the difference in this game. And the other difference, too, was, I don't want to call a kid out or anything, but, Rakaya Porter got her technical foul in the second quarter. And rightfully so, Coach Melanie Greco, she did not make another appearance until the fourth quarter. She was on the bench. She only ended with 2 points. You never, like Coach Greco said after the game, you never want to see your senior leader on the bench, and especially when she's your leading scorer. But, there was a lesson to be learned there, and I give her credit for that. And what it did is it allowed Haley Gibson, she took over that game. She was dominant. I think, 22 points.
Like 17 rebounds.
22 points and 17 rebounds. They played a little inside out.
And she was feeling under the weather, too.
She was, possibly 100%. Strep throat. So, great game for her. And I think what you saw, too, with Rakaya Porter on the bench, those young girls kind of had to bring it together. They've played together for how many years now? But, I think they gelled really well. They played as a team. They played together. They were in the verge of just right about being back in the game. And then the fourth quarter, I think it was a 13-0 run for Charleroi to start the quarter, which kind of, set things back. I think it was a 13-point game, and then it was, out of hand after the big run by Charleroi to start. But, again, Haley Gibson, only a freshman, after seeing that game, really excited for the summer season again to have her back on the MoFlo team. But, yeah, I think the difference in the game was Charleroi aggressiveness on the defensive end. And credit to Coach Bobby Zanowski, because even with the limited numbers and the limited experience, they're still playing their system. They got a good senior leader in Corrado. DeYounger's not playing. She's still on the bench. They played without Cam Musser as well. So, kudos to them for breaking the streak. I think they were lost like 2 or 3 straight coming into that game. But they were able to get a win over, a neighborhood rival, which is the best thing about the showcase was, them playing, all our local teams there.
Yeah.
But congratulations to them for that win. Much needed. But and like Zanowski said, they had absolutely no answer for Gibson.
Yeah.
But with the steals and the turnovers they were creating and getting, you can give up those 2 points inside to Gibson when you're getting 4 or 6 at a time.
Yeah. And Charleroi did go to 0-5 in section on Tuesday. I had that matchup on Monday night, just kind of going off of Charleroi. Some struggles from the free throw line is kind of what cost the Cougars in the end in a 65-60 loss to McGuffey. Got to give a shout out to Ella Seipold, though. Season high 22 points for her. She's now averaging over 10 per game. And in the absence of McKenna DeYounger, you've needed Bella Corrado to step up. She's done it. She's averaging around, I think, 17, 18 a game, I think.
Yeah.
And now Ella Seipold has really stepped up into more of a scoring role, too. And she was really big down the stretch, scored 12 of her points, including the first 6 of the fourth quarter for that Charleroi team, and really helped them stay within reach. So got to give Ella Seipold some
and
love.
that's what's going to be important for Charleroi here in the second half of the season is, teams are obviously, that second time you play somebody, they know you got to shut down 33. You got to shut down Corrado. They're going to need that secondary scoring from Seipold or Kondratovic or, if it's Musser, if she's playing, you're going to need that because Bella's not going to be able to do it all herself because she's going to be even more of a focal point for opposing teams to stop.
And I wanted to kind of touch on the California aspect of things. You mentioned Rakaya Porter getting that technical in the first half, sitting in the to begin the second half. I think that was more of an effort. Obviously you want to kind of prove a point, but also saving her from, potentially if you get another tech you're out for a game. Yeah. Rakaya Porter is a instrumental part of this team. She's a senior leader for a very young squad. They need her down the stretch. They need her for these big section games. Meanwhile, a meaningless non-section game, not saying that it's, completely meaningless because you want to get a win.
You want to win every game, but.
Right, and you obviously want to get a victory over another local team. But there are bigger things that this California team is going to be playing for. They're trying to make it to the playoffs. They have bigger things to play for in section play, and they need Rakaya Porter on that court, and they need her to be that leader. So I think in a way also that was kind of Coach Greco saving Rakaya and making sure that she wasn't getting in more danger in terms of potentially missing a game if she were to get another tech. So that's the way I look at it. So, but. Other games throughout the MVI Shootout Classic, I know we had some, lopsided games throughout the weekend, but
I'll tell you that final one. Whew.
The final one was definitely interesting. We'll kind of recap the other two just to. I know Adam Brewer had coverage of the Bell Vernon victory over South Allegheny, 56-33 in that one. I believe that was the third game of the night, correct?
Yes.
Clareton with a 63-27 win over Fraser. Of course, Ayanna Wade did what she does, 43 points for her. Jemiah Childs had a double-digit performance with 10 points in that victory. So big win for the Clareton Bears in that one. But the final game of the night kind of stole the show. Sarah Catholic 56-54 over Thomas Jefferson. And really it was kind of the Abby Jennis show late in that one, Alex. I mean, caught fire from three-point range, had 3 3-pointers down the stretch in that fourth quarter, I believe all in the last 4 minutes of that fourth quarter.
It was,
and including the go-ahead 3 with 17 seconds to go, and Sarah Catholic picks up the win.
And it was really basically any time the Jaguars got something, felt like they were taken back, Abby Jennis said, no, I got this.
Yep.
I'm going to calm down. And that's a big thing, too, because – you didn't have Nikki Spanos in that game. Mm-hmm. She's been fantastic scoring the basketball. It seemed like it might have been a surprise that she wasn't there for Sarah Catholic. But Nikki Spanos wasn't there. Abby Jennis stepped up. Big-time threes by Jennis, keeping the Eagles out in front. And, Sarah Catholic, they got spread out scoring battles, did a great job putting the ball in the basket. We saw a great job by Kate Clark as well. And Sarah Catholic just continued to spread the ball around, spread the offense around, and Abby Jennis took over when her team needed it. And that was the Thomas Jefferson team. I mean, they have a lot of young talent, a lot of veteran leaders on that team as well. And, Lakin Flynn, Riley McCabe, Allie Wilson, who had an incredible game last in that tournament as well. I mean, it was just everyone going toe for toe, and the Eagles ended up coming out on top, and that was an absolute thriller. And Abby Jennis again just took over. Everything she was putting up was falling down.
Yeah, 5 threes for Jennis, 18 points in that 2-point win over a tough Thomas Jefferson team that got some balanced scoring. Of course, Lakin Flynn led the way with 17 points. He had 10-point performances from Riley McCabe and Allie Wilson, the freshman who hasn't exactly played like a freshman for TJ this season. She's made a big impact in her first varsity campaign. But yeah, big victory for Sarah to close things out, and that's kind of what we expected. We expected this to kind of be the best game of the showcase, and it really didn't disappoint. Really closed things out on the right way. So, yeah. I don't know how to transition out of this, to be honest. Well, actually, I will transition by naming the all shootout team that we had we introduced on Monday. The all shootout team, 2 players from each team were honored on the MVI Shootout Classic All Shootout team. From Charleroi, the representatives were Bella Corrado and Ella Seipold. From California, Haley Gibson and Leah Hartley. From Clareton, Ayanna Wade and Jemiah Childs. From Fraser, Allie Yock and Melena Burton. From Bell Vernon, Kenzie Saliga and Caroline Lee. From South Allegheny, Emily Beaumont and Ella Lotz. From Sarah Catholic, Abby Jennis and Kate Clark. And from Thomas Jefferson, Lakin Flynn and Allie Wilson. So congratulations to our all shootout team members. Just thoughts on the tournament as a whole. I mean, how everything went. Just always a nice thing. Second time that we've done this. Shortened it to just one day of showcase games. Do we feel like it was better in that that way?
I think it was better the one day, just for scheduling purposes. Much to the chagrin of one of our directors. I think this is something that we need to keep going. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's only right that we have the girls shootout if we have the boys shootout, which, like we said, the boys shootout might switch formats next year. We're not sure yet. But it's nice to showcase. I know a lot of the coaches, Coach Voigt, Coach Mitterreader from South Allegheny, they're so excited to be able to play in this.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to give a shout out to Coach Steve at South Allegheny because, you know, obviously they're not having the most successful season, but his passion and his appreciation and, you know, he has realistic expectations for his team. Right now it's about personal growth, individual and skill growth. You know, so, you know, they took a tough loss against a much bigger Bell Vernon team. You know, but just the appreciation that these girls teams and these coaches have for having the showcase for the local girls to play other local teams, you know, that's why we want to do it. That's why we want to keep holding this thing every year. You know, shout out to our sponsors. Obviously, I can't read the back of my shirt, Alex's shirt. RTI Insurance for their support.
RTI
Planet
Insurance,
Roof, of course.
and B Graphics.
Thanks to Melanie for, you know, hosting it at California. And, you know, just being able to hold the event was great. I like doing it, obviously. I have an affinity for the girls' sports because of, you know, my daughter playing. But, you know, I wish I could have been there for that last game. I really wanted to be. But, you know, my daughter's team, we had 2 games over the weekend as well. So, but, yeah, I think it went a lot better. I don't know how you feel about it, Alex. I think we should go to at least hour and 45 minutes apart, not necessarily 2 hours apart.
That's my biggest complaint, but I thought it went well besides that.
But, I mean, also I could kind of see it because you're going to sell some more concessions that way, try to make a little bit more money. But, you know, whatever, regardless, I think it's something that we need to continue having. I'm glad Fraser was able to fill the void by Monessen dropping out. So, I like having Fraser in it. I think they have a very good young team. I think they're a team that, you know, like I appreciate the job as a Fraser alum, obviously, that I appreciate the job Coach Bass is doing there.
I
and
love
again,
the way he handles himself. First time I've seen him coach.
He handles himself well, and, you know, again, it's a coach with he knows his team's not going to go out there and win a Whipple championship. But like he says, we're going to go out there and we're going to compete against the teams that we can compete with right now. I think Allie Yock's going to be a special player over the next 2 years. She's a great athlete. Melena Burton's a good young big inside. You know, I think that, you know, I think they're on their way up. I think, you know, Bell Vernon, obviously a very young team. Coach Slagus, you know, another one with those expectations where they know they're going to take their lumps, but they're growing as a team. They have a good freshman group there that's only going to get better over the next 4 years. So, obviously, Iona Wade, anytime you can watch her play, you know. I kind of told her and Coach Wade to kind of take it easy on my Commodores a little bit. I said, just keep it at like 40.
Hey,
43.
He did put her on the bench for a report, so I mean, let's be honest.
Iona
that's
did
taking
keep it to 40.
She did. She
kept it to 40.
43, which I just saw a stat. You know, right now she's the number 2 scorer in the nation in girls basketball, averaging 38.8 points per game.
She's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, California is one of the, you know, great young team. You know, Sarah Catholic's going to be a powerhouse, but I like matching them up with a 5A team that, you know, they had to struggle to pull out a win. It's not like, you know, this weekend they're going to go play Ellis. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not going to get anything out of beating somebody 75-25.
Right.
Let's give them this stage where they can, you know, last year they had a very good game with Bell Vernon. This year they had a very good game with TJ. You know, I think Coach Voigt's doing a great job out there with what he has. Again, you know, it was good to see Riley Alabach back on the bench after breaking her nose.
Got the start.
Back on the court.
That was big with Nikki Spanos out.
Yeah. So, and that's I didn't even realize until now that Spanos wasn't there, obviously, because you know my game was just ending up in Greensburg. So I watched. We were actually at Tapped in Greensburg eating, and I was watching the game on my phone. But
love Tapped.
Tapped's great. But yeah, I mean, so you know. I think it's a great showcase. I mean, maybe we shorten the games. Maybe we can get 2 more teams. But I really like the teams that were in it this year. I thought we had some good, intriguing matchups. You know, do you necessarily want to see SA against Bell Vernon again? Maybe, but, you know, It provided a challenge for SA to go up against a bigger team, but it also was at a better competitive level than it was, something like Bell Vernon playing Sarah again or Bell Vernon playing TJ, because that would have been a blowout. So we did the best we could with the schedule. I think it turned out okay. I know Coach Bass appreciated the challenge of going up against,
what I wouldn't mind?
Iona's.
Bell Vernon and Fraser next year.
Well, that was almost the schedule this year.
I would have liked it this year too, but I think especially you lose Kenzie next year for Bell Vernon,
and you're going to have a sophomore heavy.
And Fraser's going to have a full year of experience. Basically, everyone's back on that team. You lose Gabby McGavin. I think that would be a really intriguing matchup.
I honestly would be interested in a Bell Vernon Clareton matchup. Obviously with the size that Bell Vernon has.
Too bad you don't get to say anymore, Jose.
Yeah,
go away.
But I could, I'll still be watching.
Yeah, right. So you say. Anyway, but yeah, I like the matchup. I know there were some, concerns with our ownership about the cost and everything, and like I always say, if we do it for the boys, we have to do it for the girls. It's important for them to have this platform. And especially having the local girls play each other just like the boys do. I think it's awesome. So we're going to keep it going.
Yeah, exciting
Executive
time.
Decision.
What?
We're going to keep it going.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think you should. I mean, it's great to be able to give the girls those matchups and give them those experiences, and you're number 2 of this, and it's something that I think definitely should definitely continue. So, but anything else you want to talk about?
Whippeal Hall of Fame announced today.
Yeah,
Good
couple local former players and coach.
Good Valley flavor. If I could pull it up here, obviously the headliner of the class has to be Clareton's Tyler Boyd, who I forgot he actually played baseball. I forgot he was a baseball player as well. Charleroi, longtime Charleroi, great football player, basketball player, Jimmy Chaco going in as an official. Nicole Sleeth-Schaefer, who was an awesome pitcher at York for York softball, she is being inducted as well. That's all I see really locally speaking. Some names, Jordan Geist, who is, an Olympic, shot putter. Ronnie Faust, a great coach at Washington for the Prexies in basketball. It looks like a good class. And Ringgold's all-time coach, Mike Zemanek, who was there for like a flash in the pan. He's going in as well as a coach for Aliquippa. So that's the Hall of Fame class. 14 members altogether going into the Whippeal Hall of Fame. The induction banquet will be Friday, May 31st at the Doubletree in Green Tree. So there's that.
Gotcha. Nice to see some local ties there on that side. Did you see a couple weeks ago when Tyler came back to Pittsburgh and everybody was kind of freaking out because they thought that he was going to be a Steeler?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, people were like, "Oh, I think Tyler Boyd's going to be a Steeler."
Don't matter if he's a Steeler or not. He ain't got a quarterback to throw in the ball. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. Cal U, the men, I don't know, laid an egg last weekend, lost to Slippery Rock after beating Seton Hill, so they're back tied with Gannon in the PSAC West. The women picked up a win over. They beat Seton Hill, and they also beat Slippery Rock, who is winless. Back on the winning track. Both teams are at Clarion tonight. What else we got? I don't know what else we got today. Some wrestling on tap tonight.
Yep, a lot of wrestling action.
A lot of wrestling going. There is some hoops tonight. Adam Brewer is going to be back on the slate tonight. California at Menneson boys basketball. He'll have coverage of that one. No photos from that one. I will have Jen Cottalupi with me as we go to Bell Vernon for the wrestling match against Elizabeth Ford. 2 straight days of EF versus Bell Vernon in the gym up there. So that should be interesting. And Liam's back.
Liam is back.
Liam is back as a freelancer for us. He will be at the Ringgold Thomas Jefferson wrestling match who, Coach Chirpak, I guess TJ may not have had school today, but the wrestling match is still on against Ringgold.
No, similar. And that's the joy of now this virtual schooling, that technically, even though you're closed, you're not closed as a school, so you don't
Still
have
went
to
to
cancel.
school.
Yeah.
You don't have to cancel your after-school activities, and it gives you the chance, like last night, Belle Vernon EF, that's a 10-minute drive between
Not
the two
even,
schools.
yeah, 6 mile difference.
So you're
Nice
going
and easy.
51. Okay, the roads are going to be fine. If they're not, then you pull the trigger and cancel it. But there's no reason to screw up a whole schedule because of that.
I appreciate Coach Humbert, sending out the email in the morning saying, "Hey, we're going to wait till about noon.
Yeah.
We're not going to rush a decision. We'll get back to you on the we'll get back to you on the game about 1:30. He said game is on as scheduled. So
also, while we're on the Belle Vernon subject, big shout out to another Fraser guy, Jeff Adams, tech guy up at Belle Vernon. We've had some issues inside the gym, never down at the stadium, but this year in particularly internet issues down in the Belle Vernon gym. So I've been working with him for the last week and helping make us bring you last night's game possible. So big thank you to Jeff for helping us out, obviously, and helping us be able to bring you coverage
and now
of that
we know
game.
we can go back there more often.
Which is always
it's always good.
We go back there. We love going to Belle Vernon. Never have had an issue there till all of a sudden this year. I don't know if they reinforced the steel inside the gym, but the portable hotspots don't like to work as well.
Yeah, Belle Vernon about to get some new artwork for the top of their trophy case tonight as well. I got the poster boards of our editions from the WPIAL and PIAA championship, so Coach Humbert will have those in hand later today when I go up for the wrestling match.
Don't we have a parade coming up here shortly?
There is a parade this weekend. It's going to be nice and toasty outside, so enjoy that. I'll let you know. I'll watch it from my kitchen window.
Is it Sunday?
It's Saturday.
Saturday?
No, Sunday, the 21st. Yeah, it's the
okay.
21st.
Hive
so
22.
Sunday.
I'm
Hive
gonna
22.
come park in
And
front of
it's
your.
supposed to.
I'm gonna come park in front of your house.
I heard we're just going to move the parade till Monday when it's 35 and 26. Who needs school? Let's go have a parade.
Is it actually gonna be warm?
It says next week's back
Next
to the
week's
40s.
back to the 40s, but this
and
week
50s.
we're supposed to get 2 to 3 more inches of snow. I think Thursday night into Friday. So keep an eye out on the high school schedules as well for Friday.
Sarah game Friday might not.
You might not. Isaiah's gonna be waiting another week to get his 1,000 points. But yeah, so we do have a parade scheduled in North Belle Vernon for the football team. I'm sure the little kids' football teams are part of that.
It was a fun event last year. I remember very cold. But
That's pretty much the reason I'm not going to be there this year.
Yeah.
'Cause it was pretty cold. I remember it was. It's funny how it's always warmer when it's snowing.
you know what's
But
funny?
if it's not snowing, I want no parts.
You know
of
what's
it.
funny about that is like it wasn't that cold
Right.
until you, me, and Kenzie decided to walk from Broad Avenue to the park, and then whenever we had to walk back, we were very much regretting it.
Yes, it was. It sucked. So yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna head down there too, and we can get some video, and I know Heather Hart.
You could head down there. Heather Hart will be
Hart's
shooting,
gonna be shooting
it.
So we'll have
maybe
some
a
pictures.
photo page. I'm sure there'll probably be a photo page.
Come on, you
in
can come
one
on to
of the
Broad
editions.
Avenue with me.
No, I'm
Come
not
on,
doing
it's a block away.
I got a birthday party on Sunday for my niece Mia.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say that she's going to be in the parade, and I'm just using that as an excuse. But
You don't want to watch her in the parade?
No.
Why not?
No, because I don't want to be out in the parade when it's 20 degrees outside.
Bundle up.
I've been to every Belle Vernon game this year. Those people are not going to miss me.
That's true. Fair enough. What's MVI Live schedule look like for the rest of the week?
Got some hockey tomorrow. Big one for EF, taking on a very good Carrick squad. They played them very well earlier this season. Looking forward to that one in the frigid cold of the formerly named Ross Draver Ice Garden, now CFS Bank Event Center. And then hopefully the snow holds off and we get to see Isaiah and the Eagles take on the Jeanette Jayhawks on Friday night from Sarah Catholic High School, William J. Cleary Court. Looking forward to that one if we do indeed get to bring you that one. But obviously if that game gets postponed and someone else local plays, try to make that switch as long as we have enough notice and time to do so.
Yeah, so be sure to check that social media. We'll have updates on any cancellations of MVI Live games or anything that we'll be covering over there. So be sure to stay tuned. We'll see if Mother Nature takes some of our games away again.
Oh, I'm sick of the snow. I'm sick of the cold.
Oh, I love this thing.
I mean, I don't dislike the snow, but when it's like affecting schedule, making life miserable like this, give me it on the weekend. We're fine.
Yeah.
As long as you just let my schedule stay the same.
Right. I did want to mention, since we were on the topic of talking about the Fraser High School girls, they tweeted out a little bit ago. Some of the leaders, Allie Yawk, 13.3 points per game. Yeah. Chloe Harger averaging 9.2. Milena Burton at 7.6. And Burton averaging 7.6 rebounds per game, too. So, and Taryn Bateman has been a big contributor on the board
Who
with 6.5.
Yeah, Bateman and Day both did not play against
Yeah.
Clareton either. So that's something,
Something
and
to
that's
think
something
of. Yeah.
they bring good size. I mean, maybe 5, 6, 7. I know Taryn's been in double figures a couple times, but
they're both around like 5.
When you don't have that size,
I think Bateman was back in the lineup for their most recent game. Correct? I remember seeing her in double figures.
Big game for the boys though. While you're looking that up, Jose.
Against California, I think she was in double figures.
Yeah, lost that one by 4. But
Yeah.
big game against Best Center for Fraser tonight on the boys' side of things, trying to continue their good start to the season. And, I got to talk to a couple of the guys at the Shootout Classic. Dalen and Darian came over talking to me and said, we blew that game against the Leechburg Blue Devils. It was a game that was at home. They were up by, I believe they said, either 8 or so at the half, almost up by double digits at the break or right around that mark. And kind of the reverse of what happened against Chartiers Houston for them. Said it's a game that we probably should have won, but that's a very good Leechburg team nonetheless. And right now you're sitting in the playoffs, I believe, as long as you beat Best Center tonight, if you're Fraser, you're number 3 right now through get headed to the turn in the playoffs. And I think that's not a place many people saw the Commodores being this year, but they've had a great rejuvenance, a great turnaround this season. And again, they're looking pretty good to secure a top 3 spot inside the playoffs come the end of the regular season.
Good things to come for Fraser basketball on both sides, it looks like. Go Doors.
Go Doors.
Go Doors.
Yeah. Anything else we want to touch on, guys?
The basketball team's a little hotter than the school right now, I've heard.
That's what I have
here
also
we go.
heard as well. I've heard that.
But to be fair, that's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's like that when I was.
That's what I was saying. That's when you get to these small 1A, 2A schools. That's not like Thomas Jefferson. We can't heat the whole building. It's a boiler heater.
And the thing is, people were acting like they were without heat all day long.
Yeah.
All day. No, that wasn't the case.
No, it never is, and everything's blown out of proportion like always. Again,
social media is the downfall of our society.
Wear a coat. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Go hang up in the old English classrooms on the upper deck of the high school. I mean, they'll be a little warm. Band room's always nice.
Go Doors. That's all I have to say.
Go Doors.
Go Doors.
Anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap things up?
I got a bleacher creature today.
Oh, let's
He's
hear
back
it.
from Christmas break.
Let's hear it.
Just a little one, not great. The bleacher creature has been off for a little bit, taking some time to reflect, so we'll start 2024 off with this. Q Boys the Men's End of the Road. Jose, we are going to miss you and everything that you brought to the table at MVI. Not sure if we will miss the boat shoes, but we love you anyway.
True.
Until next week.
Thank you, Bleacher Creature. I appreciate it. The boat shoes were not a great look, but
I don't mind the boat shoes, especially if you're break out the boat shoes when you head down to Bradenton. Jose.
I think my worst style choice is probably like the Mr. Rogers shoes that I would buy from like Walmart. Those are.
To be fair, dudes are
thou
pretty
shalt not buy any shoes from Walmart.
Yeah.
Although yesterday, where was I buying boots for my daughter?
Walmart.
But that's okay. That's for your daughter. That's different.
I mean, hey, listen. I buy plain tees from Walmart. Sue me.
I would if they had fat kid sizes.
But
I buy plain tees from Amazon.
You did mention the Hey Dudes. You've tried to convince me to buy Hey Dudes on.
If you
multiple
wore
occasions.
you wore boat shoes, Jose.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I once went on a shopping spree with Jeremy at the outlets in Washington.
That was a bad.
And
I got in so much trouble.
He bought a lot of things, and I did not buy a single thing.
I bought 4 pairs of shoes that day.
He bought 4 pairs of shoes from 3 different places.
That's what I like to hear.
2 pairs of Hey Dudes, and then try to convince me to buy a pair.
I had to buy 2 pairs.
I'm
It was
pretty
buy
sure.
one get one half off.
I'm pretty sure.
If you're not buying 2 pairs
said,
there,
Jose, I will buy you a pair. And I
would.
I was
I was
like,
going to.
no, I'm good. I'm good. You buy yourself some shoes here.
I do now have some American flag Hey Dudes. Though,
that's what you like to hear.
I thought you actually were interested in buying them that day.
Yeah, but they didn't have them there. But My mommy got them for me for Christmas.
But yeah, thank you to the Bleacher Creature.
Better than the pots and pans there, Jeremy.
That was worst Christmas ever. Anyway, but yeah, so.
Yeah. Anything else we want to touch on here before we wrap things up?
Should we talk about the impending co-op coming to Valley Soccer?
If you want to talk about it.
I don't want to because I'm probably going to get myself into trouble.
All right.
But let's just real quickly.
You know how I want to always protect you from getting into trouble. So
well, somebody has to for the next 2 weeks because after that, it's all downhill.
I will do it for
there.
the next 2 weeks, and then after that, you're on your own, buddy.
But there's a certain school that's going to be teaming with the team across the river for a co-op in soccer. Monessen is done with the co-op at California, which I think, I don't know all the particular reasons why unofficially because no one would go on the record, but I think California wanted out of that co-op. But they're going to co-op at Charleroi, so that can go one of many different ways. So we'll see what happens. I know Monessen's soccer numbers aren't that high, so it probably won't have that much of an effect at Charleroi.
There have been people who
for the girls, it will. I mean, I don't even know how much it will for the girls because I don't think there were many. Like most of the Monessen soccer team last year was California girls.
Well, that's what people have been saying. Like, there's only a few from each side. So, like, is it really going to be that? Well,
number
big of a
one,
deal?
for some reason there's 25 boys on the soccer roster at Charleroi anyway, which is way too many.
Yeah.
So, I mean, does Coach DeColy make some cuts? I don't know. But who knows? But that's expected to be voted on. It was supposed to be last night. It is now next week. Well, that will be voted on by Monessen at least. It'll probably be voted on by Charleroi next week as well. So
I feel like it's not going to be that.
Sorry, I know some of these places like to keep everything hush hush, but I saw it on the agenda and I threw out that tweet. Some of the comments were absolute fire. But I'm going to get the news out there.
It's our job.
That's my job.
So,
whether you like the news or not, just like it's my job to give opinions in a column as well. So,
yeah.
Get over yourselves. Anyway, let's go.
All right. You're going to need that cardboard
I'm going
to
get an email tonight.
You're going to need that cardboard cutout to put right here.
With a T-shirt that says, just shut up, Jeremy. Just shut up. Don't say nothing.
Just look at it and you'll be like, Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, but there it is.
It'll be apropos since I played dead anyways, so.
It's just a permanent look on your face that says, oh, shit, here we go.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
But, as we wrap things up, thank you to everybody for tuning in, as always. We'll discuss it, but we may have some extra content for you guys next week, but we'll discuss that. We'll put it on social media if that's something that we do decide on. We're inching closer to episode number 100, which we're hoping to have here in the next couple weeks. Hopefully can do something relatively big for it, maybe get some old faces in here. I don't know. It's kind of hard when we do it so early. People are at work and stuff, but maybe we can have some special guest appearances and see where it goes. But thank you all for tuning in for your continuous support of the Mon Valley Independent, of MVI Live, and the Valley Sports Guys podcast.
Wait. Shout out to my 6th graders for 2 wins over Franklin Regional and GCC.
2 wins. You guys play Norwin yet?
No, we don't. Norwin's not on our schedule. No.
They must be afraid.
I know they handed the Bell Vernon 5th graders a loss the other day.
Did they?
Or not the other day, but bad this week.
Also to James, Alderdice not conducive. I wanted to. That's a game I'd love to see is TJSA this weekend, but Alderdice is,
it's a concrete bunker.
It doesn't work. I did work on an effort to try to make that possible, but unfortunately, we will be unable to do that. Would have loved to see that matchup.
That's going to be a very good matchup. I'm excited to.
But to be fair, if SA doesn't start figuring out, TJ has the ability to run that one in the wrong direction for the Gladiators.
Yeah. So. But
yeah, wish we could. Not like doing those games at Chatham last year where Evan got his 1,000th. I mean, Chatham College Camp is very conducive. Alderdice High School, as Jeremy said, it's a bunker.
Yeah, that's tough. Tell us how you feel, Jeremy, is like the scariest question scariest thing I've ever heard anyone say. Thank you, Delana, for that one. Thank you for the
Delana.
chat's just like blowing up today. That's,
Love it.
I
It's
love
awesome.
seeing
I love the
everybody.
You know
on
why?
there.
That's because no one wanted to go anywhere today, so now they have nothing better to do besides
True.
watch us.
Thank you to John. Thank you to Rob, John Stefanik, Rob Ramsey, Delana Davis, James Jordan for your comments in the chat, and thank you for your support. I know 8 people watching right now. I think 2 of them are me and Jeremy because we have them up on our computers. But
Hey, our numbers go up. People catch us.
I think it's
people
more,
catch us later in the day.
It's during the
They
day,
do.
and I think so we don't have too many people watching live whenever we do these. But it seems like our numbers are pretty decent as the day goes on. Why are you smiling? Like you're like it's terrifying.
I think we just gotta cut it loose here.
I was thinking of a comment,
It just seeing you smile makes me frightened. It truly does.
it's better than scowling at people.
I don't know. Sometimes I almost
with my
prefer it.
RBF.
Sometimes I almost prefer it.
I might just end it right now.
No,
Just
we
gonna end the stream.
Nope, we got to do it the right way.
I don't like slow mode where I have to wait 45 seconds in between posting on the chat.
We have to stop this before Jeremy goes any further.
We don't need Jeremy to get in trouble again.
I'm not kidding. Stop. Here we go. Let's be perfectly clear. Jeremy did not get in trouble for anything, much to the chagrin of a lot of the Mon Valley. Jeremy did not get in trouble for anything.
Rightfully so.
And Jeremy had a lot more support than a lot of people think he did. So
No, I agree with
we're
you.
just going to say that, okay?
I support you.
Anyway.
You're a pain in my ass, but I support you. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in for this just wonderful episode that has kind of gone off the rails a little bit. So
Nothing
it's been
new-
fun.
nothing
This
new.
has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. So thank you for all for tuning in. Be sure to catch us next week. We definitely will be here Wednesday for another episode of the Valley Sports Guys podcast. May have an extra episode later in the week. We'll
I
see.
have no doors or anything being delivered.
You're
next
done
week.
with doors.
Well, no.
You know
well,
why?
The
You know why you
purchase,
had an issue is
the
because you
purchase
always
has-
say go doors.
The purchase has been made. They were supposed to come measure the day it snowed, whenever that was the other day, but they did not come measure the door, so they're coming on Tuesday next week. I said, I can't do Wednesday. I got to be at the VSG podcast.
Yeah.
So they're going to come on Tuesday and measure it and order the door and get it put in. So
Did
there
you
we go.
actually say that to them? Like, I have to be at the VSG podcast?
I said I
can't do
have
it?
something going on.
Okay, this is it.
This is it.
All right. Well,
When else do I get to talk to Delana in the chat?
that's true. Delana, ton of credit. She is our number one fan. without
Delana's
question.
feeling me. She knows I'm right on
She
cue
is
with everything I said.
She is
She knows.
absolutely our number one fan. Always in the chat every week. We appreciate Delana more than you'll ever know. So, yeah, maybe 2 episodes next week. We'll see. But we will be here Wednesday. His Place Coffee Community and more. Thank you to them for allowing us to spout our nonsense as usual. And thank you all for your continued support of the Mon Valley Independent, MVI Live, and the Valley Sports Guys podcast. But for Jeremy Sloop, for Alex Lyons, I'm Jose Negron. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody.